Welcome back, everyone, to the BD1P Binding of Isaac modded series. Today is going to be a random tainted character run for win number 7 and episode number 315. For your question of the day, put your answer in the comments down below if you feel like it is going to be: do you think kids are more funny than annoying or more annoying than funny? Give me a steamrolling character. That's perfect for me. So, you guys seem to enjoy Eden's Blessing. Look at those bombs we got right there. C, by the way, is going to be T9VVCTJ6. You guys seem to enjoy the last, more story time focused episodes. I thought to myself, I'll give you guys another story time type episode here. This one also about work, but not about the same workplace, a different workplace this time. I worked in 2 daycares before I graduated high school. Well, I guess one of them when I was going into college, but one of these was through my high school. No, you cannot take that. The other one was just a daycare that I used to go to when I was a kid, and I knew the lady pretty well. The first time I worked at a daycare was in this class I had in high school called Child Development. It was a class for learning how to take care of kids. If you're going into fields like therapy, psychology, teaching, anything like that, it is pretty much a requirement you take this class in at least one part of your high school career or college career. And I took mine my junior and senior year of high school. I took CD1 in junior year and obviously CD2 in senior year. And part of our curriculum in this class was to take care of a daycare for a week. They would come to our school early in the morning, and your job would be to, during your allotted class time, give the kids activities to do, keep their brain functioning, at a high level, stuff like that. It was actually pretty fun. Now, I was one of the, if you can believe it, only male students in that class. It's primarily a female dominated field, teaching and daycare and stuff like that. It's mostly a women-dominated field, obviously. So, being the only guy in the class, I got kind of you could say teased a lot, just by the classmates and the kids who were also there, because it was this is a girl's job. That's what the kids would always say to me. It was you're very fucking funny, bitch. I couldn't cuss them out. I wanted to cuss a couple of those kids out occasionally, but obviously you can't just do that. That was almost the worst launch of my entire life. We also get a black market here. I'll walk in here right now. I don't want to be going back and forth and back and forth. Nah, none of this is really worth it for me. And a lot of these kids took a liking to me because, again, I was the only male kid in the class. The younger boys were always oh, this guy's so cool because he's, has fucking long hair or whatever. The kids liked me a lot. I'm a very personable person, I guess. And one of the kids, a young girl named Susie, or no, sorry, it was Susie, S-U. She spelled it and pronounced it very weirdly. She was kind of the kid that I became in charge of, because she would always gravitate towards me, and it was pretty much a me and only me thing with her. She would not work with anybody else. And this girl was the fucking devil incarnate. I loved Susie a lot, but there was a point where she was just just trying to get attention constantly. And all kids do that for sure, but when you're trying to get attention from one person in specific, it gets a little overbearing. And one of my friends in this class, Izzy, we would take turns just trying to watch her because she was a draining kid. And at one point, I think it was during snack time one day, I was passing out goldfish and cups of water for the kids to eat, and Susie was are you gonna eat your snack with me? And I was sure, I'll eat my snack with you. And I grabbed some goldfish for myself. And she was you know how I eat goldfish? And I was I have no idea how you eat goldfish, Susie. How do you eat goldfish? And she takes a handful of her goldfish, crushes it, puts it in her water, and starts drinking. And then she goes, "You try." And I'm no. I like my goldfish dry and in peace. Thank you very much. And everybody in the class was you have to eat it. You have to do it. It'd be so funny. And I'm not gonna fucking drink goldfish crumbs in water. That sounds disgusting. But I cracked eventually, and I was you know what? Fuck this. I'm gonna drink the goldfish crumbs. And it was disgusting. It was genuinely awful. And I don't know what I expected out of that. Like, of course it's going to be bad. Like, it's goldfish in water. But it was just like, why me, of all people? I'm a good person. I try to be a good person. Why am I being punished for being a good person? What do we want here? I guess that's pretty okay. And is this the first floor? No, it's not the first floor. Like, are we on the first floor still? Go into your boss fight. Oh, you're fucked. Get out of here. But eventually, you know, Susie and my time with Susie comes and goes. We had our ups and downs, but at the end of the day, it was good practice for, like, when I would actually go into more, like, childcare type stuff. But it doesn't end here. Permanently gives you Curse of the Blind, but rerolls low-quality items. That sounds, like, funky. Let's do it. I'm going to do this as well. Ooh. And I'll do this as well for the black card, and I think we'll just move on down here. But my next semester of the class starts up. And the same like curriculum project, excuse me, is thrown at me. Another group of kids, oh, that crown is having a moment up there. Another group of kids come to be like watched by my class. And I have a new, you know, like class. I have new classmates and there's new kids to watch. But my friend Izzy is still with me in this class. And this new girl comes and her name, I think her name was like Erin, E-R-I-N. And what was her whole deal? She was like really, really shy, and she would only talk to Izzy. But because me and Izzy were already, that's not Curse of the Blind. Oh, strange. That's really good though. Sure, take that. But because Izzy and I were partners, we were both trying to watch Erin. Oh, a planetarium? Off the 1% chance. Hello? Luckiest player alive. Greatest run of all time. And Erin eventually started, like, you know, opening up to me and talking to me when Izzy wasn't around. I'll do this, sure. That's pretty okay. And at one point, Erin starts kind of like, ooh, Vesta? You know, I love my Vesta. I kind of want to fuck with this guy too over here. And pop this first, obviously. And we're doing playtime. They got all their toys. They got their, oh my god, yes, first try payout. They've got their kitchen sets and stuff, and I asked Erin. Well, her name had I think for sure it was Erin. I was like, hey Erin, can you make me like oh, that's so many poops for us. I didn't even realize we got Filthy Mind earlier. Can you make me like soup? I'm really hungry for soup right now. And she goes into her fake kitchen and she pulls it out. And I'm like, oh, this food is really hot, Erin. What, did you put hot sauce in this? And she's like, yeah, but there's a lot of hot sauce in that. And I like fake burn my tongue. And they find it pretty funny. And a bunch of the other kids take notice. And they start walking over to see what's up. And the whole like game becomes, Erin makes me food. And every time she makes it, I'll take a bite and I'm like, oh, this is really good, Erin. Then she'll go, there's hot sauce in it. And I'll like have to freak out like, oh god, it burns so bad. But because the other kids in this game is so funny, I start getting like food like left and right. And I got to keep doing this like, oh, there's hot sauce and it burns so bad. And this goes on for like half an hour. I'm not even kidding you. That the hot sauce gag, it's overdone and it goes on for so fucking long. This lady would not do good at a comedy club. She would get booed off that had to be like a frame perfect hit right there. I totally popped my item early, but I guess not. The game disagrees with me there. Go in and you win. And every kid is doing it. And they're getting rambunctious now. And of course, it's my job to calm them back down because they're getting rambunctious. So I'm like, hey guys, we got to tone it down. You guys are getting a little bit out of control right now. And they think I'm joking again because I'm a funny YouTuber guy, right? I'm the Joker, baby. And then one of the girls, this is where it gets kind of violent. And now I didn't like hit a kid. Like they were hitting me. And one of the girls takes like the toy mixer that you push the trigger and it like mixes around and jams it into my hair and just starts turning. And it's pulling my scalp is like, I went to the bathroom after, my scalp was like red. Like it was getting yanked. That's huge, by the way. And my hair gets caught in this fucking like spinny thing. And I'm like, this hurts so bad. So I'm like, guys, you gotta like knock, I get a little bit mean and I'm like, all right guys, like knock it off. Like you gotta play nice, this really hurts. And I go to the bathroom, I unwind my hair from this like goddamn thing. And I'm like, God, my scalp was so red, that hurts so bad. And I get back. And the kids haven't really calmed down at all. They're still going like insano mode because, you know, they're kids. And instead of calming down, the new game to them is jam things into my face. And I don't know the rules of this game yet. Like, I'm still kind of like figuring out the rules this game is going for. So I sit back down against like one of the pillars and I'm like watching them play. Make sure they're playing like responsibly. And one of the girls walks up with a plastic fork. And I kid you not, I was probably seconds away from losing eyesight in my left eye. Because she walks up, like fork behind their back, you know, like looking all, trying to be all sweet, and takes it out and thrusts it at me, like right at my face. And I'm you know, I took a little bit of boxing when I was in high school. I have my guard up a little bit. I like knocked the hand out of the way, and I'm like, that's like a no-go. And that's when I kind of realized, like, I never understood the hatred for kids, because I've always worked with kids and been fine, like babysitting and stuff like that. But if a kid gets an idea in their head that's funny, they're gonna keep doing that idea till it's as overdone as like an Amy Schumer joke. It's ridiculous. But I'm telling you, it was like this close to my eye before I like knocked it out of the way. And I could have, it was a plastic like kid's fork. I totally could have closed my eye and probably been fine. But there was some like force, potential anger involved in that. Like they were out for blood, man. And I don't talk about this story too. Honestly, like it gives me flashbacks because like it was a scary moment, but I don't talk about that too often there. You know what would be a fun segment for this like streak is getting in like a Zoom call with like an old teacher of mine and just asking about like how I was in school when I was young. That would be a good streak segment. If you guys want to see that, let me know. Pinking shears is fine, I guess. But that was kind of like the school side of it. Now, the only other thing that I think of note like happened is we went to the gym one day with the kids to do like line tag or like whatever you call it in your school, rainbow tag. I don't know. Every school's a different like word for it. ER is huge. And the girl I was watching, Erin, with Izzy, like fell flat in their fucking face and just started bawling. And like we had no idea what to do, right? Because that was interesting. Bumbo, nice move there, or Bombino, sorry. We had like no idea what to do because like when a kid gets hurt, there's two ways to calm a kid down when they get hurt. Number one, you baby them for like 20 minutes and they get over it. That's okay, I guess. Or number two, what is it? Number two is like you just gotta act like it didn't hurt. Because kids, the way that their brain works is they work off of mimicking your behavior. If they see you get hurt and you start crying or freaking out, when they get hurt, they're gonna start crying and of course freaking out. I forget the actual term there's a term for it, but it's like they'll mimic your response to behavior or actions. So when she got hurt, I think what me and Izzy did, we just like kind of like picked her up, like one hand, like I was like holding one of her hands, she was holding the other hand. We kind of like walked her around and just like, oh, you're fine, don't worry about it. And she got better within like 5 minutes, but it's a scary situation because when a kid, because it could go either way. If the kid is like seriously hurt, you'll never know. Just because they could be overplaying it or they're underplaying it. Like there's really no in between with kids, and it's kind of hard to tell if they're seriously injured or not. At least I've never seen a kid like get seriously hurt besides like other kids when I was a kid, so I don't really have a basis to go off of there. But in my experience, most of the time it's a bit overplayed. Now, I don't want to spread any misinformation here, so if you do see a kid that's crying or like hurt, don't just assume they're overplaying it. Check up on them first, but you know what I'm trying to say there. Anyways, let's get some more backstory going on here. When I was a kid, I think I started at like age less than 1, potentially. I started going to a daycare near my house because my parents both worked like around the same shift. And so I would go there like when I was out of school, like in the summer or when I was super young. I was there. There's a pit right there, you fool. I was there practically the full day, like from 6 a.m. to like 4 p.m. we'll say is a good range for that. So I pretty much grew up in this place. Like I was at home a lot too, but it was like half my childhood was spent at my house, half was at this fucking daycare. And I loved it too, because I got to meet a lot of friends there. It was definitely really good for my social development. I got to meet a lot of people there. I met some long-term childhood friends there. I mean, it's really good for social development for kids to go to like a daycare or a learning center. And I loved it. I mean, because the way this place worked is it wasn't like it was any like official big daycare. This lady basically ran it out of her basement. It sounds creepy. Let me rephrase that, actually. It was her house, and she was a registered daycare lady, but the, like, establishment was just her full house. In the basement, you had a bunch of toys. You had a big TV with, like, the Wii on it, so you could play, like, video games. They had, like, what used to be, like, a basement, like, alcohol bar, but it was kind of repurposed to be, like, a drawing station for kids, and everything was, like, super safe and super great down there. It wasn't like, you know, just some random fucker's basement, right? It was an actual place. And upstairs you had the kitchen where you'd eat in the kitchen for lunchtime and like snack time and stuff. And then outside was kind of the real treat, because outside this lady had a trampoline and a big playset with a slide. And in the summers when I was there, like early on in my childhood, she also had a water slide you could hook up, and one of those big like blow up water slide things. She had one of those as well. So there was a lot to do there, and the full yard was open to explore. Now, a couple things. There were some like prohibited areas there. One of the most important ones for my stories are going to be behind her house, like way a little bit past the backyard in this field. There was this gigantic oak tree, this standalone singular big tree in the field that us kids would love to climb, which obviously could lead to injuries, so she said no climbing on that. We didn't really listen. And then the only other kind of like prohibited area is in like on the side of her house, there was a big open field as well that was full of like chipmunk and gopher holes, and she didn't want us like, you know, twisting our ankle, falling into one of those tiny holes or anything like that. So those were kind of like the off-limit areas. But as a kid, we would, oh, you're a mimic pedestal, I know that for a fact. As a kid, we would do pretty much all of that anyways. And there's the obvious rules too, like don't go in the street and stuff like that, but I shouldn't have to mention that like as its own specific thing. Jetpack is flight, so that's pretty good. And are we on depths 2? Nah, just go fight your boss. You're gonna be fine. Hop your, oh, it's gonna be great for us actually. This synergy with like, we one-shot the Fallen. Oh my lord. No cycles needed there. This like Dark Arts Pinking Shears thing is actually crazy. And I think I'm going to give a couple of moments like from that daycare to kind of explain what it was like, and then go into why I had to work there and stuff, or why I chose to work there. You get there in the morning. Here's like an average day for you. We're gonna give like a summer day. It's the most comparable to my future working story there. The summer. I would arrive with my 2 sisters at 6 a.m. We go to the basement. We'd watch like some Nickelodeon, right? Around like 8 a.m. By around like 8 or 9 or even 10 at the latest, every single kid would already be there that's supposed to be there for that day. And you knew it was going to be there because the parents would tell the lady, hey, my kid's coming this day and this day. So you knew as a child which one of your friends would be there. Now, at around like 10, the lady would say, all right, the big kids, if you want to go outside, you can go outside if you want. And then if you'd help the little kids get their shoes on, we'd all go outside and play in the yard for a bit. I hate this room so much. I hate this room so much. Hold on. And it was pretty nice. What's alive in this room? Oh, it's a button. No shit, dude. Oh, it's my tier now, bitch. And you go outside and you play until around like 11. Then you'd go back inside if you weren't already in there. And you'd go in the basement, you'd play like the Nintendo Wii, or you'd play with toys. Then around 12, you'd eat lunch. Now, after lunch, once you're all done, the daycare lady, her name is Nancy, I'll call her Nancy, she would put down the little babies to rest, and the kids who were like ages like, you know, 3 to, we'll say like 7, would go down for nap time in the basement. You'd lay down on your little sleeping bag thing with the TV on and try to like rest up from eating lunch. While the bigger kids, will say like age like 8 to at the highest 11, would go outside. That was a dumb hit, and just play until their parents came to pick them up. You would play out there from like 12 to like 4 potentially. You could do whatever you wanted. It was pretty crazy. And then around like 2 o'clock, she'd take the younger kids up. We'll buy it, sure. That's not very good. We lost a lot of damage there too. She'd wake the younger kids up from their nap, and we'd all go outside and we'd all play until our parents came to get us. And somewhere around like 3 or 4 or 3, I would say, would be like snack time, where she'd give you like granola bar, fruit snacks, and like a juice box or some shit, right? It was pretty standard. That's damage. I shouldn't skip that. Pretty standard daycare stuff. Now, I'm going to put us back in time for a minute to 2020 when COVID hits, and mostly every school is going online. Now, this lady, she's a little bit older. I think I told this story not too long ago on the streak. Not too long ago. I'm talking so fast, I apologize. I've been live for like 5 hours every day and recording so much Isaac today. I'm a little bit out with my voice. But this lady, I don't want to like say she's older than she is, but she was probably in her 60s at this point. She's like, she is a grandmother, so she's got to be like somewhere around her 60s. We had mom's bracelet, so go back and grab this. And she texted me one day, and I had worked there. I should probably give it a preface. I had worked there previously. I was like the holiday guy. I would help her set up for her Christmas parties. I was the Easter bunny for a couple years, hopping around giving out stuff. I would help with the general things, you know, like just like stuff like that. And are you still here? I'll do it, dude. No big deal. Okay, not terrible. You haven't seen our item room yet? Go to your item room. You're making some great time on this run. And I had done holiday parties and stuff, so I knew what I was getting into. By the way, fantastic card to find right now. Ooh, I guess the restock does not matter. But that book is good because we can go back here, pop it. You might want to keep the book, actually. I was going to give it up to the chest, but nah, give the book up. You're fine, dude. Who cares? Give me R key right now. Quality 2 for Lucky Saucer. Extra luck is not too bad. Walk in here. Oh, the fire from the jets is also being really crazy right now. So I knew like I knew a lot of the kids who were there, just like either they're like younger siblings of my friends that also used to go there with me, or I just know them from like around my town was very small. So I could have known them from around my town or anything like that. So I knew who a lot of these kids were already. Sure, and, ooh, Guppy's Eye, nice. And we'll move on down here. But she wanted me, this lady, because she didn't know how to work Zoom. She didn't know, like, how to find these kids, like, homework, what they had to be doing for that day. And not to mention, she has to take care of the babies, the kids who aren't in school yet, like, make lunch. I mean, there's a lot on her plate right now. And she's not getting paid extra to be these kids' teacher. Like, you know, they're just at her daycare for the time being. She kind of like has to do it, right? Which it fucking sucks. That's got to be terrible. So she texts me and she goes, "Hey Ben, like I know you have like you're in college right now, and you have a job already, but I'm looking for someone who can help me like with these kids because I can't teach them all." And she goes like, "Do you know anybody who could help me with that who's like, you know, not currently working or is like has a free schedule?" And at this time, I was being kind of lazy around this time because I was in my first college semester and I had to go to class in person on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But I had like Monday and Wednesday free, and I only worked. No, I went to class on Monday and Tuesday. I had Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday free. I worked all day Thursday and worked a half day on Friday at the factory job because I was being lazy. So I was like, hey, like Nancy, honestly, I'm not doing too much. Like I only go to school for a couple of hours, then I'm back home. And online college is very easy. I can come in every day except for Thursday, and I can help you with these kids. And she was very grateful. It's difficult though because again, like, I've been out of school for about a year. Like I was only in college and I was using like the college programs for classes. I didn't know how to properly work Zoom, and they had these weird things like classroom codes and shit like that, and they had different like each kid had their own fucking like site to go to for their homework. It was very confusing, but I worked through it, and there were about 9 kids who I'd get up in the morning around 6 a.m. They'd come to the daycare. Around 8 a.m. I would get them upstairs. for learning. But what we would do is we would sit down together, all 9 of them at the kitchen table. I'd get every single one individually into their classes for their Zoom calls, and I would write down everybody's homework, and I would make sure by the end of the day that it was all done. But it's not like just like that simple though, because with a lot of these kids, like they don't want, what counts as a floor decal here? These? I think these do, right? Like they don't want to learn. A lot of these kids are like, they think it's pretty much summer for them, right? Because they're not in school anymore. And a lot of the kids as well don't understand what they're supposed to be learning. I'm just gonna skip this floor, right? Yeah, we're gonna skip this floor because they aren't hearing it from a teacher. So I had to essentially, individually, like teach all of these kids their units. I had to relearn how to do long division because I had no idea how to do long division. I had done it like the previous year in like calculus, but I had forgotten it entirely because college is extremely like bullshit easy online. So I was like, I haven't taken a math course since my senior year of high school. And even then, that was when COVID had first hit, my last like trimester. And that was a dumb hit. I was like, what is that guy doing? Yeah, I was taking a math class for like 3 years practically. But I had to like individually teach these kids their units every day and get them into their Zoom calls and shit. And this happened, I did it like in 2 bursts. I had like a 1 6-week period where I was doing it, and they had their spring break. Then I came back after spring break to do it again for them. And to be honest with you, for being practically like a teacher, I was getting paid shit. And it wasn't her fault, because what should have been happening, as we both agreed, is the parents should be paying her more for not only sitting her kids, but also like teaching them, you know, their schoolwork. That should be like, I would argue Nancy, the owner of the daycare, should be getting paid double for having to teach 9 like for each kid that has to go to school and she has to watch and get their assignments done. That should be double pay. It sounds a bit absurd, but honestly, that's like, that should be how it is. Don't break. I want conjoined here. We're 1 away. Is that conjoined? It is conjoined. Huge. Another baby for us. There we go, dude. We're cracked right now. Bomb all of these things, please. I want my money back. Yeah, we got 2 cents. Not the worst in the world. Continuing on here. But I had a good time there. Like, I honestly, like, as frustrating as trying to teach, like, an 8-year-old math is, I had fun. And I did want to go to school to be a teacher. Like, that was my goal, was to go to school to, like, be, like, a high school level teacher. But I dropped out because YouTube is more fun. It's not as secure as that job would have been, but, like, it requires less schooling. It's a bit cheaper to do YouTube than it is to go to college for potentially 6 to 8 years. So you know what? I am very happy where I am right now. But I don't know. Like, it kind of makes me wonder, like, man, I really did enjoy teaching that class a lot, or like those kids a lot. Maybe I should go back to school. Then I was like, nah, because then YouTube happened. Like 3 to 4 months later, I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm just gonna keep doing YouTube now, I guess. Not the greatest decision for my future, but a good one in the moment, I think, and definitely panning out now. But I had a good time with that. And I ended up, like, some days even, like, staying the full day just to help the kids, like, or help her get the kids up from their naps and shit. There was a couple of babies I had to watch there. I had to learn how to change a fucking diaper. That shit sucks so bad. No pun intended right there. But that shit does suck, like, really, really bad. But there was this baby named we called him Baby Gavin, because there was another Gavin at the place who was a bit older. And this kid, like, holy shit, this kid was huge. Like, he was not even a year old. He must have been, like, I don't know. I don't want to, like, missay his weight, because it might be absurdly more than I'm saying. But he was so big that, like, this lady, she'd been doing this daycare for about, like, that was a dumb hit, 30 to maybe almost 40 years now. And that is the biggest kid she'd ever seen. It was so bad that her husband, whose name was Mark, also my guitar teacher for a bit, a cool guy, really, really cool guy. We called him Steak and Beans because like it looked like this kid had had a pure steak and beans diet. This kid was fucking insane. I don't know if I have a picture of him or not. I might. That's illegal, I think, to put a picture of a kid on the internet without their parents' permission. So I'm not gonna put a picture of baby Gavin online. But this kid was fucking huge. But there's another baby there, and baby Charlotte. And baby Charlotte was kind of a bitch. Sorry, it's a bit rude to call a baby a bitch, but she was a bitch. Because whenever Nancy wasn't there, she would bawl her eyes out. She had to be within sight of Nancy, or she would be terrified. And when I was the one holding her, she hated it. This was the one baby, the one kid that never grew to like me. I guess eventually she kind of liked me, but like it took a long ass time. Normally kids immediately love me because like I'm a fun, cool guy, hip guy, but like this baby, my lord, awful. For the 3 months that I was there with her, only twice did I ever get her to calm down when Nancy wasn't in the room. But when I did finally get her to calm down, it was so satisfying because it was like Nancy was on the phone with her like internet technician because like her internet had gone down the day previously. And you have to be like pretty attentive to the directions when you're that old trying to fix like an internet router or find like what's wrong with your service. So I took baby Charlotte into another room and closed the door and kind of just like held her and bounced her around for a bit. And she was crying for the first, I would say, like 5 minutes. And then randomly, she just stopped. And I was like, okay, like that's great. This is where the story gets fucking crazy. Because I was holding her for about 10 minutes and 5 of those minutes were non-crying minutes. Then she starts to kind of wiggle, which means she wants to be put like back down on the ground, right? I mean, all right, I can put you down. Like it's not a big deal. I'll put you down. And this baby had not learned how to walk yet. She was still a crawler. I put her on the ground. She goes against the wall and like stands herself up, which is not, you know, odd because kids will usually use a wall to walk for their first couple of steps for a long time. And she had used this wall just to walk a few times previously. What happens next blows me out of the water. This guppy's eye is bugged to hell. She pushes off the wall and walks towards the door. Like freehand walks. I witnessed this kid's first ever steps. What she was trying to do, I think, was find her way back to Nancy because like I'm no Nancy replacement, I guess. But it was just like, holy shit, this kid can finally walk. Now, I'm gonna get hit here. Hold on. Oh, I'm so good. I may have made a dumb choice here because a baby's first steps are very monumental to parents, right? A parent always wants to be there for her kid's first steps. So I never told anybody that I saw this kid walk. So I didn't want the parents to be like, oh man, we missed our kid's first step, and the only guy who saw them is this like fucking factory worker who's like 18. I probably should have told them just in case like he starts walking, you know, in dangerous scenarios at their house. But like, I don't know, if I was putting my kid into daycare and they had their first steps when I wasn't there at that daycare, I'd be kind of sad. Like, not mad. I'd just be kind of like, oh, I missed my kid's like first steps. You want to get that kind of shit on video. And funnily enough, like maybe a week or two later, the parents came back and were talking to me about like, oh yeah, she just started walking recently. We got it on video. You want to see? And I was like, sure, I'll take a look. So I guess my plan kind of worked. These didn't seem like the guys who'd be mad if they missed their kids' first steps that much, but I didn't want to take my chances. I wanted to get some good parental reviews. Ooh, hello, spider. But I guess my plan worked there. And the final thing I wanted to touch on for this daycare like story is that one of the kids I was teaching there, I forget what her name was. No, sorry. The kid from the daycare at the school was not Erin. It was Elin, E-L-I-N. This girl's name was close to Erin. But I was like teaching her in her classes for a bit. And originally she was kind of sad. She really wanted to go to school and like see her teachers and all that. but she couldn't because, of course, COVID. And she didn't really like learning with me for a while because like I wasn't her teacher. But when she warmed up to me, her dad texted me one night. He was like, "Hey, how did you convince my daughter to work on her schoolwork? Because she won't listen to me. She's asking for you." And I was like, "That's so fucking sweet." I was like, "Oh, that's kind of cute." And apparently, like she, this is gonna get really bad, but she had trouble learning in school because she kept wanting me to come in and teach her, which I couldn't because when she got back into school, she has her teacher back. But that was kind of cute, I guess. That was kind of my last little thing I wanted to say. This run was kind of cracked also, by the way. Like, holy shit. I have never seen a better T. Judas run in a long time. Thank you to that Darkness Crown and for everything else helping us out on today's run. It's been pretty crazy. There's your second story time. If you guys want more story time type episodes, I can get the graffiti story back out. I can get my first time ever getting high story. I could pull a lot of that shit out. But for now, that's the end of today's episode. If you enjoyed, a like and a comment goes a long way for a small channel like mine. I have been BD1P. Peace out and goodbye.